If I told you the Blue Jays might be on the verge of fixing the infield chaos, without Bo Bichette, without Bregman, and without spending a fortune? While everyone is focused on the obvious names, Toronto is quietly being linked to a player who once produced 79 RBIs in a single MLB season, and that detail completely changes the game. Stick with me, because this plan isn't improvisation, it's method. Welcome back, Jays Nation. This is Jays Nation News, and today the conversation is about market reading, not hype. Context matters, and it matters far more than it seems at first glance. The Blue Jays are coming off an exhausting, emotionally heavy season that ended in dramatic fashion with a Game 7 loss in the World Series to the Los Angeles Dodgers. That detail isn't just historical. It fundamentally shapes how the front office approaches the offseason. Teams that get that close to a title rarely enter rebuild mode or settle into complacency. Quite the opposite. The response is usually surgical, cold, and strategic. And that's exactly what Toronto has been signaling. Far from any talk of comfort or mission accomplished, the front office has been working aggressively, yet quietly, looking to strengthen the roster not only for immediate impact, but also to sustain competitiveness over the next several years. The 2025 offseason, therefore, does not revolve around a single name or a single isolated decision. It functions as an interconnected system where every move triggers another. The futures of Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, Alex Bregman, and Ketel Marte are linked like dominoes. Any progress or retreat on one front completely reshapes the final roster construction. It's a sensitive board where timing and market reading are just as valuable as raw talent. And it is precisely within this complexity that the name Yon Moncada emerges, not as a headline move, but as part of a larger mechanism. The free agent third baseman was linked to the Toronto Blue Jays by MLB insider Francis Romero on December 26, 2025, placing Toronto alongside the Angels, Pirates, and White Sox as teams showing early interest. Even with recent thumb and knee injuries on his record, Romero makes one thing clear. Moncada had a solid 2025 and still has room to contribute more among third basemen next season. When the analysis moves away from speculation and into the cold numbers of 2025, the picture becomes even more compelling. Moncada played just 84 games, a limited sample, but enough to reveal efficiency. In that stretch, he totaled 58 hits, 35 RBIs, and 12 home runs, solid production given his time on the field. Within the Angels roster, among players who appeared in at least 80 games, he ranked 5th in batting average at .234, 3rd in on-base percentage at .336, and 4th in slugging at .448. Those numbers alone suggest consistency. But the data point that truly stands out comes from advanced metrics. According to Fangraphs, Moncada posted a 117 WRC+, the third best mark on the team, trailing only Mike Trout and Taylor Ward. When that performance is projected into the context of the 2025 Blue Jays, it would translate to the 7th best WRC+ on the roster, slotting in exactly between Alejandro Kirk and Tyler Heineman. This isn't a media-driven superstar profile, but it is real, measurable production, and above league average. And remember what I said at the beginning, fixing the infield without Bichette, without Bregman, and without spending a fortune? This is exactly where that plan starts to make real sense. And this is precisely where the key point of the strategic analysis comes in. Toronto does not seem to view Moncada as an isolated savior, someone who arrives to fix everything on his own. The reading is far more sophisticated. He emerges as an intelligent fit within the current roster hierarchy, especially amid the uncertainty surrounding Bo Bichette. The front office is seeking structural protection for the 2026 infield, not just an emergency solution. Right now, the Blue Jays have young players like Jorge Burgos, who led his team in RBIs last season, and Giovanni Planchard, a prospect known for his power potential. Bringing Moncada into this context does not block that pipeline. On the contrary, it creates a clear bridge between present and future, offering nearly a decade of MLB experience while allowing those young players to develop without immediate pressure for results. This isn't improvisation, it's applied organizational sustainability. When we zoom out even further and enter the realm of benchmarking, the move gains another layer of logic. Moncada was described as early as 2016 as a 5-tool player, with raw power graded as plus and an arm graded as plus. That potential materialized most clearly in 2019, his best season, when he delivered 161 hits, 79 RBIs, 25 home runs, and added 10 stolen bases in 132 games. That is the historical ceiling Toronto would potentially be buying into. Not at the price of a superstar at peak value, but within a classic asymmetric risk scenario. The cost tends to be more controlled, especially given the current market context, while the upside, if health cooperates, can be disproportionately high. This is exactly the type of bet elite organizations make when they understand that the market does not always price injured players correctly. But not everything is perfect, and ignoring that would compromise the credibility of the analysis. This is where the critical counterpoint must be addressed. Moncada has played 100 or more games in only 4 of his 10 MLB seasons. Durability is not a secondary detail, it is a central variable. There is a real risk that his body simply does not keep up with technical expectations, regardless of talent. In addition, if Toronto ends up definitively resolving the Bichette or Bregman situation, Moncada could quickly become redundant on the roster or be viewed merely as a relatively expensive contingency plan. Advanced stats help project impact, but they do not erase a basic truth of the game. Availability is also a skill. And in Moncada's case, that skill has been inconsistent throughout his career. At the end of the day, the thesis is clear. The Blue Jays continue to operate like an elite organization, one that does not react to the market, but anticipates it. By connecting to names like Yoan Moncada, Kazuma Okamoto, and even Ketel Marte, Toronto shows that it is preparing multiple scenarios rather than betting everything on a single card. That is the difference between a competitive team and a truly well-run franchise. Now I want to hear from you, Jays Nation. Does Moncada make more sense as a smart asymmetric risk bet? Or do you think Toronto should focus exclusively on a maximum impact name to solve the infield once and for all? I want to read your analysis in the comments.